So now we will move on to the presentation of the second output of the project, which is the participatory action research that will be presented by our colleagues from Youth Focus Northwest and Manchester Metropolitan University, MMU. Go ahead.
Can you all see my screen? Yeah, great. Okay, so my name is Dr. Harriet Rowley. I'm here to present Output 2 with Elizabeth Harding from Youth Focus Northwest, the UK team led on Output 2, but of course all the partners contributed. Output 2 consisted of the web documentary, which was a film created from the participatory action research projects that we conducted in each of the countries. And also we have written a methodological guide which consists of an explanation of the participatory action research approach that we used, but also reports from each country about the process of the co-creation of the projects and what they learnt during those projects. For the beginning of the presentation, we'd like to all watch the YouTube web documentary teaser together. This is a shortened version of the web documentary, which is itself sort of 40 to 50 minutes long, but this one is just 10 minutes. I will post the link in the chat, but it's also on the screen. The idea of a YouTube premiere is that we all watch it live together. So hopefully we feel like we're in the same room. You can chat in the Zoom link or on YouTube, but it will start at 11:45 and we will come back when it's finished. I hope everybody enjoyed the premiere of the teaser. Apologies about the subtitles. For me, it seemed to sometimes be on and sometimes not. So if you had any technical issues, you can go to the link that I posted up before. And you can also watch the full documentary maybe this afternoon from the Partibridges website. I just want to take some opportunity to talk about why we used participatory action research in Partibridges. So this is the methodology that we use to inform our approach of the Output 2. And as has already been mentioned, Partibridges was a direct outcome from Partispace, and in many ways, what Partibridges gave us the opportunity to do was to further our understanding of collaboration and how to have a participatory approach. In this sense, participatory action research was kind of ideologically aligned with the project's commitments because it supports that reflective stance which questions power imbalances between participants in an effort to kind of co-produce that knowledge together. So as you saw on the video clips, with each country, each project was a collaborative process between the universities, the youth associations, and the young people within each country. Within the methodological guide, we go into more detail about how participatory action research is a philosophical and methodological process of bringing unheard voices into the public sphere and giving an equal voice to everybody with the goal of mutual collaboration and problem solving. We can summarize kind of 6 important aspects of participatory action research. It's a social process, we do it together. It's participatory, it's collaborative and practical. There's an aim of action and change. In this sense, it's emancipatory or affirming. It tries to empower people who are involved, but it's also critical and reflexive. It's mindful of the historical and cultural and contextual limitations in order to bring about that change. One of the things that we wanted to do is to think about what we have learnt from undertaking the participatory action research. And I'm going to hand over to Liz now for her to present the next 3 slides to talk about some of the main themes that we learnt through undertaking this process.
Thank you, Harriet. I hope everyone can hear me. So what we learnt about the importance of participation, and I'm sure youth worker colleagues will be saying, yes, of course we did. What we found was that by putting young people at the centre and supporting their voice, it really helped their engagement in the whole project. And often when their experience is overlooked, it became really important that they had the opportunity to put their life experience forward. So certainly, you know, in Portugal, where the team were working with the young fishermen and women who were very marginalised, it really gave them the opportunity to engage, and they took that opportunity. And in the UK, young people really enjoyed, the joys of, oh, sorry. And in the UK, the young people took some time to engage, but once they did, they really enjoyed it. And there was a lot of discussion and engagement. And it really, the way that we worked allowed them to take control. And that was one of the byproducts of the pandemic. And I'm just going to quickly hand over to Anita from Rochdale, who was one of the young people that engaged, to say a few words.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Good morning, everyone. The Partibridges project was actually something we really enjoyed doing. Alas, it did take a bit of time to engage, but in a pandemic where we had seen in the UK a lot of young people's voices, opinions, grades, etc. neglected, it was hard to try and engage all over again. But I think with the young people being able to create these videos about how their life has changed during the pandemic, their worries, how their life is going, what's better than the new normal or beforehand, and having that kind of freedom to do what they wanted and be able to make the videos their own, I think that really helped engage them and make them more interested in the project. And I think, again, putting young people's voices at the forefront of any type of change we're trying to see is really important. And I think that's what really made our group in Rochdale engage more in the project. Everyone obviously is in school and aren't here to say their individual piece of mind, but on behalf of the group, I think that the project was actually a really fun project in the end, and I think everyone really enjoyed the outcome and seeing the video put together. I think that was something that was appreciated by the young people. So thank you. I'll pass back to Elizabeth.
Thanks, Nita. That's really good to hear. Thank you. I feel like in the UK we have government presentations. They say next slide, please. So I'm saying next slide, please. The second thing that we really learned was the importance of collaboration and valuing different kinds of knowledge. And we've talked about collaboration all the way through this event. I think some of the important things to highlight were those things around challenging our practice and thinking about who can put forward ideas for research. Does it have to be the university or can it be youth organisations? We also thought about the hierarchy of knowledge and, you know, does an academic knowledge trump practical knowledge? And we thought very much around experiential knowledge and the value of that. And we also thought about disrupting research so that it wasn't always led by academics, and people took on different roles and thought about how we all work together. Could we move on, please? And the third point I wanted to raise was the whole notion of the different approaches we used and how they all supported participation. Obviously, the pandemic really disrupted this project, and I'm really proud of all of us that we were flexible enough to make sure that we brought it to fruition. We all went different ways, if you like, and certainly the creative games and play and outdoor in-person activities in France, showing the importance of public space, and in Portugal also using the outdoor space, the beach, etc. And in Turkey, they also used outdoor space. I think in the UK, because we were working with different geographical areas, that became quite difficult for us. So we moved online. And that meant that we all brought the video into our work in different ways. So in some countries, it became a way of recording the project. And then in the UK, it became the project itself. And it was interesting to think about how those different approaches emerged, given our different circumstances. Okay, thank you. And I'll hand back to Harriet now.
Thanks, Liz. That was great. I think just finally, it's important to recognise how the projects were themselves informing and empowering for those involved. One of the things that Anita spoke to then as well was how important the space was to be able to talk about experiences of the pandemic, especially at a time when young people's voices were silenced and misrepresented, but also in other contexts as well, to be able to give those voices visibility. I'm conscious of time, but just in the last few minutes before we go to questions from the floor, I'll just take some time to think about some of the connections between Partispace and Partibridges, because I was involved in the intellectual production of Partispace too. And I mean, we've recognised that some of these partnerships span over 6 years now. And as somebody in the UK, I'm increasingly grateful to be part of European projects. And I think that one of the things that's just testament to Partibridges is how we have kept those partnerships going, even though we have had to move our transnational meetings online. And despite these kind of setbacks, we've been able to achieve a really high level of collaboration and knowledge exchange. And even though we haven't managed to visit one another's spaces and countries physically, we've still been able to build a lot of transnational understanding, especially, and learn from each other's approaches. When in Partispace, one of the things that we tried to question and draw attention to was the prevailing sort of narrow and normative assumptions of current conceptions of participation. And we recognise that a broader definition of how young people participate was needed, especially in terms of where and how young people participate. And I think that Partibridges gave us the opportunity to extend that. We, in the last paragraph of the book that we wrote from Partispace, which is entitled Young People and the Struggle for Participation, we asked the question, so if young people do participate, is there any need to support their learning to participate? And we answered yes, but we recognised that it required pedagogical action without paternalism or pedagogization. And I think that Partibridges sort of reaffirms this message. Partibridges created opportunities for academics and youth associations and young people to experiment and learn together through pedagogical action, but this wasn't predefined. We created our own training, and we created our own participatory action research projects, and the purpose of those was decided with those involved. So by creating the partnerships and valuing different kinds of knowledge, we were able to give recognition to different spaces and styles of participation that we see presented in our individual contexts. And that's really important for reaffirming and recognizing our ways of participation for those, for the young people and those of us who support those participative and democratic efforts. Okay, I'll hand back now to Zoe and Dan to begin the question session.